Wait for it. There we go. Now we got some sound. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Eternal Chronicles Saturday morning show. It's the show about Saturday mornings. And what do we do on Saturday mornings? We chill, we relax, we drink some coffee. And whoa. There we go. Just trying to get my screen set up so that it makes sense to you guys. Yeah, so that was a little thing here. So what do I got going on? Well, if we look in the big overhead here, what I've got is I've got my copy of Here We Go. This is my reproduction. And I've got a pencil and some paper, and this is the old ways. No battle scribe, no, what was the other one? From way back in the day. Army Builder, which I have like a lifelong license to, and I don't think I've installed it on a machine in years. Well, I guess battle scribe is the one that everyone uses now. But we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. We're going to do it the way of the writing down with the pencil, the mechanical pencil. So I'm just going to write up at the top here, blood, axe, army. And we're going to build that out of this. This is the Here We Go book, and that is the, I've got it set here to the blood axe army list. I'm not going to make you watch this because I've got this, because I've also got the PDF up here for you guys to take a look at while I do this. So what do we got? Well, back in Rogue Trader, when the game first came out, there was really no such thing as army lists. In the Rogue Trader rulebook, you had the different races, and then you had basically like, here's how to make fighters, here's how to make your minor heroes, your champions, your major heroes, and they would all have rules for stat lines, and then you would just roll. That's right, rolling dice to see essentially what your guy was armed with. When the Book of the Astronomicon came out, there were a whole bunch of little campaigns in there, and in there were a whole bunch of like pre-rolled up guys, right? So you could use those if you wanted. Or you could just roll up your own guys. It was a little bit more freeform because, again, back then, the game was assuming that you were working with a game master. So that the game master would actually be setting the stage for the players. It was less of a me versus you battle game, more of a me and you battling, but there's a third entity that could introduce random things, and he was the one who was really sort of controlling it. Very RPG-esque, right? Sorry, I just got distracted there looking for something that I realized I got to put on my dreadnought. It's his little flag, his little banner. We'll stick that on a dreadnought for now. Boop. So yeah, so the later on, so after Book of the Astronomicon came out, White Dwarf started publishing little bits and pieces to add to things here and there. And then something amazing happened in like 1990, 1991. Pretty sure these books are 91. Yeah, pretty sure they're early 91. So what you got there was an actual orc army list. And not just an orc army list, but like one of the most comprehensive ways to build an army in Rogue Trader of any army. No one else really had this much level of love put into what they were doing, right? Or put into their army list. The Eldar got a White Dwarf article that added the Aspect Warriors and the Warlocks and the Farseers, and sort of really started to establish the idea of the craft worlds. That happened that happened in White Dwarf 126 and 127. 126 had all the background lore and sort of stuff up to that, and sort of the concept sketches, and then White Dwarf 127 had the actual Eldar army list in it. Later reprinted in the Yellow compilation book. Previous to that, you had the Harlequin army list, you had Space Marine army lists, you had Squad army lists, you had Imperial Guard army lists. These were all published in White Dwarf, and then later put into the compendium or the compilation. Gene Stealer Cult's in the compilation. Who else is in the compilation? there were a couple of other things in the compilation there, like they added some units to some things, and then obviously you had the Realm of Chaos books, which had rules for building Chaos Warbands of various types, both 40k and fantasy, and they crossed over. So yeah, so that's a brief, very brief history of army lists in Rogue Trader. But what we're doing today is we're going to be building a list out of this for the orcs that I painted in Orktober, and you can see them all scattered around my desk here. I can zoom out a little bit and you can see just how much we got done. So yeah, you can see that I've got my war boss and his retinue, which we will roll up. I've got my big mob over here, which is sort of his like household mob, and that's actually a unit of 12 boys, so it's 2 more than normal because I've got 2 extra boys, which at some point may get split off with some other boys to make another boys squad, because I've got 1, 2, 3 boys squads of 5 models each. 4 boys with bolters and 1 boy with a heavy weapon, so we'll add all that up and figure that out. Now you can break knobs off. You can break me off a knob. So each one of these, so my household is led by this knob. So he leads my big mob, and it's either him or him. And I assume that the war boss takes turns assigning him. So like one battle, this guy will be the knob that goes off to lead the boys, and the other battle will be this guy. But otherwise, and he comes from the knob, from the war boss's retinue to go over here. Each regular boy squad I take, so I have 3, entitles me to take one additional knob. So I've got a knob leading this squad, who's the big red machine here. And then I've got this guy who is the champion guy from the Orc Raiders box set, the Space Orc Raiders box set. So he will lead the other mob. And then this mob over here doesn't have a leader to lead them, because this would be the Commissar. So he's the knob. I can buy him the buggy as a ride, and we'll do that. And then we'll go through and we'll just figure out what everything's going to cost us. Because here's the thing. Random rolls. So good thing I've got some dice, because I'm going to need them. So I'm going to switch over here so you can see the army list. And we're just going to go quickly down through it. So 1 war boss. 1 war boss's retinue. 1 big mob. So those are your 3 things that you have to have. So I've got my war boss, I've got his retinue, and I've got the big mob. So we'll roll those up. Then 0 plus war mob, plus boys mobs. And then each boy mob lets you take a knob, and you can take odd boys. So the way that it works for the blood axes is, and we'll get that when we get to thing. Let's start with the war boss, because he's going to be the war boss. Alex in the chat saying good morning, sir. How are you? Thanks for coming and watching me try and make an army list here. This is going to be some fun times. So you can see all the different cool things that you can take. Now, Blood Axes get a couple of additional things that other armies don't get. Because Blood Axes can't take other boy units from other clans, boys mobs from other clans, they get Imperial Guard units, who are basically masquerading as mercenaries, it says right there, and human adventurers, which I will have, which will be painted up in November, because I'm going to do a little human adventure warband to add here. Because obviously, if you look at my war boss's retinue, one of these things is not like the other, and that's another thing that the bad moons. That's another thing the blood axes get. And I can have Ogryn mobs. I don't own any Ogrins, but when we get to when we scroll down to the Ogrins, you'll see. And I can have 0 to 1 Gretchen mob, which I do have. They're not finished being painted, but I started them yesterday, and you can see them over here in the far corner. Storm Boys, Wild Mobs, Freebooters, and now the Freebooter mobs. In Here We Go, the Freebooter mobs are just an entry. When you get to the Freebooter book, everything in the Freebooter list is considered a Freebooter unit. So you can have all kinds of crazy stuff, 0+ Freebooter mobs, so I can take everything from Flash Gits to Chaos Renegades to Genestealer Cult Orcs, Genestealer Orcs, Squig-Brained Orcs, who are led by basically a Bad Doc, which is a pain boy that has gone insane. Not that all pain boys aren't probably insane to begin with. And then odd bits. So odd bits are things like The Dreadnought is actually considered an odd bit. The Hop Splat gun here is considered an odd bit. Hey, Jankmaster in the chat, how's it going? You may have someone in the chat with doubles of Bob Ollie Ogrins, just saying, but I digress. If you have doubles of Bob Ollie Ogrins, you and I need to discuss that, because I do want to be able to field Ogrins in this army. And Blood Axes are the only Orc clan that can actually get Ogrins and get Ripper guns for them, because generally what happens is that the way that Ogrins find their way into an Orc army is the Orcs find a bunch of feral Ogrins and hire them up, right? Before the Imperium's had a chance to get to them. Because what happens when the Imperium gets to them is the Imperium tries to make them smart, right? The Imperium tries to make them boneheads, so they give them like some psychosurgery thing. They put an implant into their head that makes them a little bit more intelligent enough that they can essentially use a Ripper gun. A Ripper gun being a giant automatic shotgun. So Blood Axes are the only clan that can actually get Ogrins with Ripper guns, because it's possible that they encountered Ogrins who have already been converted over by the Imperium, because the Blood Axes obviously trade with humans, and that's why none of the other Orcs really trust them. All the other Orcs are like, these guys are weird. So why did I choose Blood Axes? Well, one, it makes sense for the models that I'm using. Yeah, exactly. Heavy and robust. So it's basically, it's like an unbreakable gun. I think the equivalent would be back in Vietnam, the American Navy SEALs used a gun called the Stoner, which was essentially I think it was like an automatic shot. It was called the Stoner. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember reading about it in some Vietnam book. Back in the day, and it was generally deployed by the Navy SEALs because the thing was like waterproof, it was indestructible, it was a really simple gun, and it just always worked and rarely jammed, and exactly, you could basically use it as a club, as well as it shot. So they use that, and I don't even know what the modern day equivalent of it would be, whatever an automatic shotgun would be. I know that in Necromunda, the Goliaths have combat shotguns, which are essentially the same things. So yeah, so let's do this. How about we get to the war boss? So here's the war boss, and here is my war boss. So I will hold my war boss up for the camera for you to see. And as you can see, he's got a giant axe, and what I'm hoping to be able to do is roll him up a flamer, which I can just incorporate into the axe, right? So the two things that I'm trying to roll up here are a power axe and a flamer. I also think I'm probably going to put him in power armor. Who knows what's underneath that big old heavy coat, right? Oh, such a weighty model, so great. And you can see I can buy power armor for 6 points. So I'm just going to write down here that this is going to be my warlord. Now, I don't have a name for him yet, so if you guys are out there and you come up with a name for my warlord, shout it out in the chat, and I'll see how I feel about it. And let the gear rolling shit show begin, says Alex. Yes, exactly. The overhead is distorting somehow wavy lines. Yeah, I'm not sure what it could be. It happens sometimes, and I don't know if it's just you or like it could be on your end, but I know that like when I look at it, I can't tell anything from where I am. I would have to literally load up my own stream on another screen to check it, which is why a lot of these people have like another person that sort of does the behind the scenes stuff. But we're not going to do that. We're going to roll up a warlord. So you can see I can take power armor for 6 points. So let's just write that down right now. Let's just write down that here's his war gear. And we'll put down power armor. And that's going to cost me 6 points. I'm not going to buy an additional bolt pistol. He comes with flak armor. He comes with a bolt gunner bolt pistol. And he comes with a suitable hand weapon. All those things I'm not going to use. Basically, the 3 charts I'm going to roll on are the ranged weapon chart, the assault weapon chart, and the stick bomb chart. Then I'm going to roll up a force field. Then I'm going to see if I can get some bionic bits. And if things don't work out on the other chart, well, we'll roll up a custom weapon. We'll see. It's only 20 points, right? Okay, what's the worst that could happen? So I'm going to go to, I just happen to know which page it is that we need to go to. So here is the equipment chart. So I'm paying 5 points for a roll on the ranged weapon chart. Now, as a warlord, if you see up here, it says a Blood Axe warlord may add up to 20 to any roll. Roll the dice and decide how much you want to add after. So what I'm shooting for right here, and shouldn't be too hard to get, is I want between 16 and 40 to get that flamer. Let's see if I can get that flamer. Oh, and just so you know, any weapons that I roll and he doesn't use, I can put on my vehicle. So on his transport, which will be the Rhino, which has to be made at some point. Right now it's a Razorback, but it's going to be a Rhino. Just throw that down. Why not, eh? So, and this has 2 plasma guns and a las cannon, and it's got a chaos symbol on it right now because this, at one time, this was earmarked for several armies. It's green because it was painted up for my Omega Marines at one point, and then it was converted, or in the process of being converted, over to be part of my Red Corsair army. And then it sort of sat in a box, and I actually gave it to a friend and then asked him to give it back to me because I needed it. Because all of a sudden I'm working on this orc army and I can have looted vehicles, so I'm going to have a looted Rhino, and I can mount guns all over it. So that's a big project for maybe late November, maybe December. I don't know what month we're going to do that in, but let's roll some dice. So let's see. 16 to 40, and I can modify this up or down by 20 if I want. So let's see, what am I going to roll here? I'm just going to roll it. We'll just roll it right here. Boom, 20 exactly. Boom, look at that. I get my flamer. First roll, and I get exactly what I want. That's probably not going to last. So let's write down flamer, and write down that cost us 5 points for that roll. So now I'm going to pay 5 points to roll on the assault weapon chart. And I'm looking for that power axe. Now the power axe is 71 to 80. So it could be a little tricky for me to get that. But again, because I am the warlord, I got that 20 up and down, right? So let's see if I can do this. So basically I'm looking for anything between 50 and 90, generally. Come on! Oh, 82! And I can modify that down. And I got my power axe. Look at that. I got my power axe, and that cost me 5 points. All right. Now we're moving on to force fields. I believe force fields cost... How much does it cost to roll on the field chart? Whoops. It costs 15 to roll on the force fields. So let's see here. All right. What kind of a force field can I get? If I roll a 91 plus, actually, if I roll a 71 plus, I can get a custom force field. Who knows what that is, right? But let's see what I get. I'm just going to see it. I get a force field. What you want is probably... I probably want the custom. So let's just roll. What do we get? 92! Custom force field! So now we got to go down to the custom force field chart and roll up that. So let's see, what kind of crazy custom force field does my war boss have? So far, my war boss is coming in really economically because I'm getting all the rolls. That's not going to last. Let's go down. Custom force fields. Custom force fields. Oh my. Oh my. I may have to go to another... Oh, I guess it's just called a custom force field. I got to find the custom force field rules, so I'm just going to flip through this real quick. And see, because it'll be at the front of the book here. Under equipment and custom force fields. Let's just see. Weapons and war gear. Force fields. Page 96. This is why it's advantageous to have a printout as well as the thing. So, we have the deflector. So the deflector gives you a 4+ save. It's a 4+ invulnerable save. You can take that on top of armor, because that's the way it worked back then. Against any and all damage sustained from a single shot. Any shot which is successfully deflected will ricochet in a random determined direction. Refractor, I believe, is a 5+, but it does something else too. Refractor can blind guys around you. Converter field actually converts the power of the shot into something. So depending on the strength, determines what your save is. Custom force field. Every time you roll on the custom force field, every time you get hit, you have to roll on this chart. So let's see. So let's say he got shot by something. Roll a d. When an orc wearing a custom force field is hit, roll a d6. Note that the roll is made as soon as the orc is hit and not when he has suffered damage. Refer to the custom force field chart below. So let's just say I got shot by a las cannon. Ugh! And let's see what happens to that las cannon. So I'm just gonna roll this d6 here. And I roll a 2. Overload! The shot is absorbed by the shield, but this overloads the mechanism, causing it to explode. The orc suffers a d6 strength hit and 1 wound if damaged. Should the orc survive, he is covered from head to foot in black soot and left without the benefit of his force field. So first shot, just popped off. Let's go back in time a little bit and shoot him again, just to see what happens here. 4! Freeze! The energy of the shot causes the force field to become temporarily rigid. The shot is automatically nullified, but the orc is trapped by his own force field. He can neither move nor shoot from out of it. This lasts until the orc player rolls a 4, 5, or 6 on a d6 at the start of any of his following turns. While trapped, in this way, the orc is automatically saved against all further shots as if he had rolled a 5 or 6 on this chart. Amazing. Orc technology never ceases to amaze. So yeah, so we've got a custom force field on this guy, in addition to his power armor. So just write that in. Custom force field. And that cost us a whopping 20 points, or 15 points for the custom force field, right? Yeah. Or was it 20? Let's go back. Custom force field, yeah, 15. That's a custom weapon, it's 20. 15 points. All right, so now I'm gonna roll on some stick bombs because he's carrying a stick bomb. So let's find out what kind of stick bomb he's carrying. Let's go back to page here, and we'll roll on that stick bombs. All right, let's get our trusty rusty percentile dice out here and see what we get. We roll a 72. 72 means he has a crack stick bomb. Well, that's pretty cool. Now I could modify that down to a frag stick bomb or up to a melt-a-bomb. He seems like the kind of guy that would probably just carry around a crack stick bomb just for like jamming into something to blow it up. So we'll keep that. We'll keep the crack stick bomb. Crack stick bomb. I had to look up how to spell stick bomb. Bombs. And that cost me 5 points. So that's it. That's all I'm buying for him. I don't think he needs anything else. I could see if we get him like a crazy bionic weapon, but he doesn't really have it on the model. I can get away with power armor by saying it's underneath his clothing. I don't have any qualms about that. So I think we're just going to add him up here. So I'm pretty sure he's 90 points base. Yes, he is. He is 90 points base. So, and I'm just going to use a calculator because I'm so lazy that I just don't even want to do like brain math. So I'm just going to pull up my phone here, pull up my calculator, and we're going to go 90 plus 6 plus 5 plus 5 plus 15 plus 5. Boom, 126 points for my warlord. Not bad. Not bad at all. And I could roll extra weapon for him. Like I said, I'd take extra rolls on the assault weapons or even the heavy weapon chart to try and get some guns for this, right? Because anything he doesn't use, you can see it says right here. Oh, okay, so here's another thing that we can do. We can keep rolling for him. You can roll as many times as chart, as many as you want, and the war boss can use whatever equipment you generate. Any equipment the war boss does not want can be passed down to any other knob in the warband. The war boss is a generous leader. If you don't want to use the equipment you've generated at all, then it's simply ignored. So when we get to the war boss's retinue, oh maybe, yeah, no, it is the war boss's retinue that says you can put the guns on his vehicle. But anyways, let's go down to the war boss's retinue because we're done our war boss now. So here we go. So my war boss's retinue is a little funky because special weapons are really hard to get. essentially rolls on the ranged weapon table are really hard to get. So what I've done is I've got these guys. Now I could roll on my war boss to do it because he's got the plus 20, minus 20. But those points, where would those? I guess those points would be absorbed by the warband. So let's see here. So this says I need to take 5 Blood Axe knobs minimum. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 7 knobs in this warband. And that, yeah. So we've got 7 knobs. So let's just write down here 7 knobs. And we'll go knob number 1. And then knob 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And we'll see what we are able to roll up for each guy. Now you have to pick the type of knob they are. There are 4 different types of knobs. Your clan boss basically has war boss type stats, I believe. I believe his stats are pretty much the same as the war boss's. And he's the only one that has 2 wounds on him too. So when I get to making the commissar, he's going to be a clan boss because he's like my number 2 guy, right? These little guys with the flamers, I'm just going to take them as regular bosses, which are 15 points. These 2 back here with the chain swords are probably both going to be drill bosses. And then these guys here will probably also be drill bosses. I might make one of them a big boss. What does a big boss get? A big boss over a regular boss gets an additional point of initiative, an additional point of weapon skill and ballistic skill. These guys with the flamers, I don't care they're ballistic skill 3 because they've got flamers. So let's see if I can roll up some flamers. Now, knobs can only modify the chart by 10. But remember what we said. My war boss could roll, and he can modify it by 20. So maybe I just have him do the rolling and see if we can get those flamers, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is knob number 1 and knob number 2 are basically going to be my flamer guys. So they're going to be just bosses. They're just bosses. So they're going to cost me 15 points apiece, right? And then let's see. So do I risk it or do I have my warlord do it? Because my warlord was able to get that flamer no problem. So he should have access to them. 16 to 40, I should be able to get some flamers here. So let's see if I can do it. So I'm rolling for knob number 1. I am not... Bryce, what did I miss? Hey Bryce, how's it going? You missed me talking about orcs for a whole bunch. And then doing a little bit of rolling. I rolled up my warlord, who's right here, who's 126 points, and managed to get all the equipment that he wanted off the first roll. I am now rolling up knobs for his retinue. And I'm starting with these 2 little guys here, who are flamer knobs. So let's see, 16 to 40. This should be easy, right? I'm not even going to look. 88? What does 88 get me? Well, 88 gets me a plasma gun. All right, well, I'm just going to write down at the bottom here, plasma gun. Because I don't actually have, in this retinue, a knob of the plasma gun. Which means that I believe that this weapon can now be mounted on my rhino. Are the rolls cheaper for the boss than for the warlord? No. I believe they all cost the same amount of points. Let's see here. Yep, 5, 5, 5, 15, 10, 20. So that's all universal. So it's basically costing... So that cost me 5 points to roll up that plasma gun. Let's see if I can do it again. And by that, I mean I need a second plasma gun for this turret. Because this is the old original Razorback turret, which was dual plasmas and a las cannon. So we'll have to pay that 50 points and hope we can roll up that las cannon. We'll see. Alright, so let's see. Can I get that flamer? I want that flamer. I need 2 of them. Maybe I should have my war boss do this so I can modify this by 20. Yeah, whatever. War boss. Get another flamer for yourself. 93, Jesus. Well, I can drop that by 20, which means I've now got a melt-a-gun, or I could just take another plasma gun. I guess we're taking another plasma gun. Well, now we got 2 plasma guns for the rhino. Yay! This is Bryce. This is first edition. This is Rogue Trader that we're rolling on. Essentially what we would call 1.5. It's late Rogue Trader. So early Rogue Trader would be, I would say, anything up to the Compendium, I would call early Rogue Trader. After that, so anything post 89, you get into 1990, 91, I call that late Rogue Trader. So anything that sort of came out after the Battle Manual and Vehicle Manual, which essentially completely revised the rules for the game. Made it more like 2nd edition. 2nd edition is heavily based off 1.5. So anyways, I'm making another roll on the ranged weapon table. So we're now up to 15 points that this has now cost me. And I'm hoping to get those flamers. 48! No, 84! Damn! 84, so I got a 3rd plasma gun. Or I can take a melt-a-gun. What am I doing here? I'm just rolling. I'm going to take a melt-a-gun. I don't even know what I'm going to do with it. Melt-a-gun. That cost me 5 points. Alright. Going for that flamer. Can we get that flamer? And just so you know, these, if I don't use them, they're just part of my Warlord's points value. So he's just getting more expensive as I do this. All I want is 2 flamers, man. Just 2 flamers. Can you give them to me? Can you give them to me? 32. Yes, I can modify that up. So I have 1 of my flamers now. So I will write that here. Flamer for 5 points. Can I get a 2nd one? Getting that 2nd flamer. 13. Well, I got a bolt gun, or I could mark that down. Mark that down. Unfortunately, I can't raise that. Oh no, I can raise that enough to get a flamer. No problem. Boom, 2nd flamer done. All right, so that's these 2 boys taken care of. 2 orc bosses carrying around flamers. They basically follow him around, and all 3 of them will just set things on fire together. Sounds like fun. So now these 2 guys, who I'm going to run as drill bosses with their chain swords. So we're going to write down drill boss. Let's just go back to the other page. Let's just scroll down to the retinue. So knob number 3 is a drill boss. And he's going to cost me 20 points. You know, for that extra 5 points, you get a big boss. They're way better. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to fork over those extra points and make these 2 guys big bosses. Big boss. And they're 25 points each. And that'll be both of these 2 guys with the chain sword. So we're going to try and roll out some chain swords for them. Because they get those bolt pistols for free. Now, when we get to working on my freebooter stuff, it's going to be super crazy. I'm going to be making custom weapons and things like that, but that's not this army. That's stage 2 of my orc army. So there we go. So there's our drill boss. So we're going to pay 5 points to make some rolls on the assault weapon chart each time. And now these guys are knobs, so they can add up to 10. However, I can just have my warlord make the rolls. But if I don't get it, I don't get what I'm looking for. So a chainsword is 21 to 40. I think I can pull this off. I can pull this off, right? Not even going to look. Not even going to look. Oh, I looked. 46. Well, a knob can modify that down by 10. But we want the chainsword, so we want to go below 40. So boom, there's one chainsword. Chainsword. Now the thing about the chainsword, it doesn't give you, it's a flat strength 4, I believe it was a -1 save modifier and 1 damage. So chainswords are actually better for orcs that are strength 3. If your orc is strength 4 or higher, you're better off with something else, right? Same thing with like the power axe, right? Like my war boss is strength 4, but I think the power axe is strength 7 or something. I'd have to go and look. Let's see, can I get a second chainsword for the other guy? 75? Well, I got something. I got a power axe. Okay. Now I could modify that up to a power glove. Or down to a power sword. Well, I do need a power sword. I need a power sword for this guy. So maybe we'll just go with that. We'll go with a power sword on that guy. So we'll keep the power sword. This guy's going to be another big boss. He'll be 25 points, and he gets a power sword. And let's see. Still looking for that second chainsword. Another 5 points to pay here. 75. Another, so a power axe again. Great, because this boy needs a power axe. See how this all just works out? So we'll make another big boss. You know what, actually? He's just going to be a boss. Or do I want him to be a drill boss? This guy could be a drill boss. It's like that in-betweener. It's a cool model. Let's call him a drill boss. Just for the sake of doing something different. Drill boss, who's... Are they 20 or... Yeah, they're 20. And he's got a power axe. And that cost me 5. Man, this knob mob's getting expensive. Alright, still looking for that chainsword. Here we go, another roll. 70. Why do I keep rolling 70s? Okay, so I can make this a power axe, or a power sword, or a power glove. I'm just going to write power glove down here for the hell of it. I mean, it only cost me 5 points to get that power glove. I don't know who I'm going to give it to, but somebody can use it, right? All right, let's get that chainsword. Let's get that chainsword. Get that chainsword. 63. 63 is going to give us a power sword, which I can modify down to a plasma pistol. I don't have any models with plasma pistols. I'm just going to write plasma pistol down here. That's costing me 5. All right, let's go. Let's go here. We're going to do it. We're going to pull this off. Boom! 31! Yay! Chainsword! All right, so we've got our second chainsword. On our second big boss. That's these two fine gentlemen here who are basically based on the same model. All right, now I need one more chainsword for this guy. So let's see. Can I pull it off? Let's get that other chainsword. Last roll on the assault weapon chart, right? Right? 94? Good God. All right, well, I've either got I can modify this up to a power shield. I don't even know what a power shield is, but I'm going to take a power shield because why not? We'll see what we can do with that after. That's going to cost us 5 points. All right, one more roll. Come on, let's get that chainsword. Let's get that chainsword. 18. Yes, chainsword. Because I can modify that up to 21, whatever. So we've got our chainsword on our last guy here, who is also going to be a drill boss. Why not? I actually wrote this as Dill Boss. Drill Boss. For 20 points, and he's got a chainsword. Chain sword for 5 points. All right, where are we at here? That's all my knobs, but they also need some other stuff too, right? Like I can get grenades for these guys. I can get power fields for all of them. I can start, but I think we'll leave it at that for right now. Let's just figure out how much this whole knob mob is going to end up costing me, because there's still more to go in this. So we've got 15 plus 5 plus, so that's 15 plus 5, so that's another 20 plus 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus, oh sorry, and these last two are 25. Minus 5 plus 50 for the last two. So we're at 205 now. I need to add in these two plasma guns that are just sitting in my cache. So that's 20. Is that 20? No, it should be 10. Yeah. Plus 5 plus another 10 plus 5. 235 points for my knob squad. Not so bad. 7 knobs costing me 2. Whoops. Oh, I hear the pitter patter of little feet. I may be joined momentarily. So that's 235 points. And that's just for the 7 knobs in the mob. There's a couple of other guys in there. So let's go back to the war boss, or the warlord. The war boss's retinue. And the next thing underneath it is a human advisor. This is going to be fun. Who could this be? Well, this is my Inquisitor. He secretly runs the show. Oh, and we are being joined. Maybe. I hear doors opening. I hear little feet coming in. I hear lots of noise. Oh, hello. What are you?
I got this at
You gotta be on the camera. There you go. Now you're on the camera.
I got this at Tokyo Disneyland.
You got that at Tokyo Disneyland? Is it comfortable?
I feel it.
Let's see. Oh, okay, I'm gonna take a nap now.
No.
No. Oh, you woke me up. All right.
I get.
Yeah, you gotta get in the picture here. You gotta get in. Here you go. Do you want to help me roll some dice?
Yeah.
All right. So here's what you're gonna do.
You don't even use a notebook.
You're gonna take those two models or those two dice, sweetie, and you're gonna roll them, because I've got to do my human. Where is he? Attendants, vehicles, advisor. Here's the human advisor. So my human advisor is going to be a major hero because he is an Inquisitor. So I'm going to write down, put a little Inquisition symbol there. Inquisitor Dosadi. He's got a name.
What?
And he is a major hero.
Can I?
Major. Yeah, so what we're going to do...
X Army.
So
What?
any human advisor can have a power sword or a conversion field.
Okay, now let me roll the dice.
Well, we don't even know what chart we're rolling on yet. Let me go. We're gonna roll a ranged weapon up for him. So there you go. So you're gonna roll. Oh. Okay, so roll it here and let's see what we roll. 63. You rolled a 63. You got a melt-a-gun. We'll just write that down here.
Can I roll again? Can I roll again?
You sure can. Yeah, let's roll again. That melt-a-gun, that cost us 5 cents to roll. 44. We got another melt-a-gun. Will you stop rolling melt-a-guns? All right, what else we got?
What's a melt-a-gun?
It's a gun that melts things. Put that on here. Re-roll it. Re-roll it. Re-roll it. Just re-roll the whole thing.
Why?
Because you got to roll on the flat surface. If it's cocked, it doesn't count. 4. That's a 0-4. What do we get for a 4? We get a shotgun. Hey, he's actually got a shotgun. Cool. All right. Now we're gonna see. Now we're gonna roll on the assault weapon chart. So let's see what assault weapon we get for him. A 10. A 10 is a sawn-off shotgun. But I think I can modify that up to a bolt pistol.
Good enough.
I'll modify that up to a bolt pistol, and we'll give him his bolt pistol.
39. 39.
Well, what are we rolling on here?
39.
Okay. I guess we're gonna roll on the force field chart.
Okay, so it's
39 gives us a refractor field. Refractor field.
47.
You're just
22.
I'm trying to write here.
98. 98. That counts
That counts. Counts for what?
for something.
Okay.
Wait, I know how to guess the biggest number.
All right. Do you want to roll and see if you can get some bionic bits?
90.
Let's see. Maybe we shouldn't roll to get him some bionic bits. Who knows what can happen?
8. There we go. That. 98.
60.
Salsa.
Okay. Okay, so you got to go back to do your thing, or what?
43.
Okay, make sure you close the door, please, sweetie. Thank you for helping out. All right, so we are back in business. The Munchkin has gone back to do her Japanese, and we'll carry on. The buggy driver has a plasma pistol. Yes, I'm not sure how to get the buggy onto the plasma pistol. I don't know. Now there's a fight going on out there. You know, what are you gonna do, right? 8-year-old kids. All right, so that is Dosadi in a nutshell: a shotgun, a bolt pistol, a refractor field, and 2 melt-a-guns. I don't know what he's gonna do with those 2 melt-a-guns, but that's 10 points I'm never gonna get back, right? Let's go back and take a look at our human advisor. What does it say for our human advisor exactly? The Blood Axe retinue always includes a human advisor. This is an Imperial agent, although suitably disguised so that the Orc warlord remains unaware that his pet human is in fact a member of the Imperial forces. The human advisor may be chosen from the character's Imperial Guard list and equipped from the same list. Alternatively, you may choose one of the advisors from those given below. So we went with the major hero to get that serious stat line. He has mesh armor, he has a las pistol, and he has a suitable hand weapon. His optional war gear is a power sword, a conversion field. But we rolled him up a refractor field, so that's fine. I'm going to buy him a power sword anyways. I assume he has it hidden away on him. It's like a lightsaber. Back in Rogue Trader days, you actually had like lightsaber style power swords. All right. So the advisor may be equipped with weapons given to him by the war boss. Okay, so I could have used some of this up here for him. These are generated from the Blood Axe equipment charts in the same way as extra equipment for knobs. Choose a new chart and randomly generate equipment. You may roll as many times the chart as you wish. Yeah. Note the equipment may not be swapped between the knobs and the advisor as it can between knobs. So that's another interesting. All right, so odd boys. So what are odd boys? Odd boys are mech boys, pain boys, runt herders, and weird boys. So they are your odd boys. So in a Blood Axe retinue, I can only have one of each type in an entire army. So I can only, like snake bites and bad moons can get like 2 or more runt herds. What I can get is I can have up to 5 odd boys just in the retinue. So that's 2 mech boys, 1 pain boy, 1 runt herd, 1 weird boy, and with his 2 minders. I don't have a weird boy for this army yet. I'm going to try and find that weird boy model, which means I also have to add 2 minders, which could end up being like this guy could become a minder, or, you know, we'll see where we go with that. But I want that weird boy model. I gotta find him. He's the only one of those 4 original odd boys that I'm missing. But I can have 2 mech boys. So one thing that Blood Axes can do is take a ton of mech boys, because we're always tinkering with Imperial equipment and stuff. So we tend to have a lot of mech boys in our lists. So I've got 2 mech boys that are going to be part of this retinue. This one and this one. So these are my 2 mech boys. The smart one and the not so smart one, but either way, only one of them is actually going to be in the retinue. The thing about odd boys is you can break them off so that they operate independently. He will be broken off to operate independently because he's actually going to end up with some kind of mech boy gubbins thing, which may or may not be a robot. It may or may not be a robot. We'll see how I sort of feel about building the list. I have a whole bunch of other stuff that he could potentially have, including tin boys. What else can he get? He lets me take like a looted rhino, or sorry, I could take like a looted predator, I could take a looted land raider, I could take a looted baneblade. If I had a baneblade model. If I had an armor cast baneblade model, I would put a baneblade in this army. Coffee. So, let us roll up some odd boys. So, and the other thing you'll see here is that vehicles, I can get a single battle wagon or rhino for free. So the difference between a battle wagon and a rhino, not much, but what actually happens is that you can split the retinue into so if the retinue is really big and they don't all fit on one vehicle, you can actually have multiple vehicles for the retinue, and they just all kind of have to travel around together. But I'm keeping this retinue to 10 models so that they will all fit in the rhino, which has a giant hole in the bottom. The rhino. So that's why I kept the retinue small enough. But we do need to roll up a couple of these mech boys, and I don't really know what they're gonna have. You know, I'm gonna flip this over, and I'm gonna write Mech Boy 1, whose name is Fritz. Mech Boy Fritz. I don't know why I called him Fritz. He just looks like a Fritz to me. I'm a Fritz. And what is he armed with? Well, he's armed with a giant wrench and a bolt pistol, which he basically gets for free. So if we go down here, past the big mob, past all this stuff, here we go. Blood Axe Mechaniacs. So we tend to have lots of mech boys because they are always obtaining Imperial equipment which needs to be gutted and rebuilt so they can use it. It is often supposed by other clans that the Blood Axe mechs have learned a great deal from their human contacts, and that they have access to human secrets of which other clans remain unaware. And then if you get down to the bottom here, it says, it sort of gives you the specifics. The number of mechs in your warband affects the number of vehicles and tin boys the war boss can also have, and affects the reliability of orc equipment in general. There's a whole repair card mechanic thing. And I'll have to print out those cards and mount them at some point. They killed Fritz. I remember the dude who put masting on his so that he could have orcs hanging from them. Yeah, well, that's the thing is that with the battle wagon does solve the capacity issue in some ways. I just don't want to pile all my models onto the battle wagon. I have a battle wagon, but I'm actually going to be using it for my freebooters because I think it's more appropriate for them. I feel like my blood axes are more appropriate with looted Imperial vehicles. So, same thing as everyone else. He gets all these rolls on these charts, and whether or not I want to give him custom weapons or stick bombs or force fields. Let's take a look at Fritz here. What's Fritz got? Fritz has got a hammer. Fritz has got a wrench. Fritz has got a bolt pistol. Let's keep him cheap, man. Basically, he's 15 points. 15 points, and that comes with flak armor, a bolt pistol, and a suitable hand weapon. So that's what he's got. Do I need to make any rolls for him? Nah. And then the other guy, what's this guy's name? So this mech boy is a little bit more dim looking. This guy's probably... I like the idea of him having the whip and using the whip to control the robot with. Because the robot's got his own programming, right? But this guy just follows the robot around and whips it and thinks he's actually achieving something. Because he's an orc and he's not so bright. So we'll just put another mech boy down here. We'll call this guy mech boy Fritz, and what should the other guy's name be? Oh, little Rudiger. Let's call him Rugger. I don't know. Ruglug? Rug. Lug. Ogmagug? I don't know. He's cost 15 points too. He doesn't even have a bolt pistol. He's literally got a whip and a wrench. And then a bunch of stuff hanging off his back. So we're just going to call him 15 points. Cheapy cheap. And then I got one more thing to add to this retinue. And then essentially the retinue is done. Which is a pain boy. So I have one single little pain boy here. And again, this is one of the one-piece prototype odd boy models. So this is my pain boy, and he's basically got a bolt pistol and a bone saw. So he's got not much else. So he is also 15 points. So we'll just write that down there, pain boy. Now, what does a pain boy let me do? A pain boy lets me get a dreadnought. So we'll go do that dreadnought. So the pain boy is also 15 points. All right, so now we'll go baguette to the Blood Axe Mechaniacs here and just see where it says the odd bits. So each Blood Axe Mech Boy in the Warband entitles you to buy either a vehicle or a Tin Boys mob, plus an extra captured human vehicle if you want it. So for every Mech Boy I have in the army, I'm entitled to buy either Tin Boy mob, an orc vehicle of some kind, like those buggies, like this war track. Essentially, I need to have a mech boy in order to get that. So let's say, so I have two here. I have the war track. I also have a Scorcha, which isn't painted yet. Shame on me. And I have two buggies, which are also not painted yet. So in order to actually take all these vehicles, I have to have a mech boy for each one. So I have two. So Fritz will entitle me to take this guy. Ruglug will entitle me to take this guy. Now, I need some way to take these two in the army. So I need two more mech boys, which I can do. We'll get to that when we get to the boys squads. And you'll see I have plans, unpainted models right now, but I have, and having those two plasma guns, because I do have two plasma guns. Yes, I have two plasma guns. But they're on my war boss. What a nightmare! Trying to roll up all this stuff. Anyways, so I can take a war track. So we'll go find the war track. So we're going to go down to, back to page 202 and find the odd bits. So here are the odd bits. So, oh, sorry, I've got one more member of the warband I need to add. He's been sitting over here with some goblins, but that's my runt herd. So here's my runt herd. Hello, I'm a runt herd. And I think the runt herds are like 15 points too. I'm pretty sure all the odd boys are the same points, except for maybe the... look at all this. Here we go, runt herd. A runt herd is also 15 points. And pretty much armed with the exact same stuff. Now you'll see that he's got the ability to take a Gretchen or Snotling bases and a runt bot. I have a runt bot, but I'm going to be using it for my freebooters because I have a whole runt herd retinue. And I have some snotling bases, so I've got 4 snotling bases, so how about we do this? We'll just buy them 4 snotling bases. So, snotlings times 4, which will cost me a whopping 60 points. And that's pretty much it for my War Boss's retinue. The only other thing would be to add the vehicles that I'm entitled to take because of the 2 mech boys in there. So back down to page here, and you can see so a war track is 75 points, and I believe that is with, that may not be with the las gun or the las cannon. Let me check, because you have to pay for the weapons separately, I believe. So let's pull up my printed copy here and look up the war track, page 82. Now you're going to see something amazing here. This is why people say 1.5. So this is vehicle manual stuff, which was a whole book that they published, basically essentially rewriting the vehicle rules for 40K for like the 3rd time, because there's the vehicle rules that are in Rogue Trader. Then there were subsequent revisions to those vehicle rules done throughout White Dwarf and reprinted in the compendium, and they sort of expanded on, like, this is Dreadnought. So they made some sort of more specialized things. And then when the vehicle manual came out, they did this. So our Orc War track, so it's got its 3 speeds: fast speed, combat speed, slow speed. It's got 1 driver and 1 crew. It's got no transport. It has a las cannon, or twin heavy bolters, or multi-melta, or heavy plasma gun. Well, ours has a las cannon, so we will go with that. So that is 75 points for that. Great. 75 points. The other thing we're going to have is a Scorcher. War Track Scorcher. So let's call it a Scorcher. Scorcher. Now the Scorcher is 90 points. And then our Pain Boy entitles us to take a Dreadnought. So this is our Dreaderick Tatum here. We'll call him that. Now I gotta go and find the Dreadnought. Fine. So Dreadnoughts are not quite like they are covered in the vehicle rules, I believe. Custom vehicles. Well, we'll get to that. Shock attack gun. Where, oh, robots? No, where are Dreadnoughts? Orc Mechaniacs, page 68. It might be there. It might also just be in the army list itself. So let's go take a look there, because I have a feeling that they are just in the army list itself. So let's go down. Big mobs, knobs, mechaniacs, pain boys, weird boys, runt herds, more boys, Gretchen boys, wild boys, storm boys, mad mobs. Look at all this stuff. Where are those Dreadnoughts? Imperial Guard, human adventurers, odd bits. It doesn't say where the Dreadnoughts are. Oh, here's the Dreadnought. Oh my god, look at this. It's 50 points. And he has a Power Claw, a Heavy Bolter, and a Custom Force Field. So I have to build this Dreadnought using the compendium Dreadnought rules in order to build this Dreadnought the way that he's armed, because mine has 2 Power Claws, a Flamer, and a Plasma Cannon. We'll come back to the Dreadnought. So what do we got going on in the chat here? Oh, RT 2nd edition, how I missed the... Yeah, exactly. Love, love, love how those illustrations are actual minis in the range. Yep. Good stuff. How'd you paint the snot heads on the runt herd? Green or rotting? They are actually not really finished yet. I painted them goblin green, and I'm going to paint them the way I sort of do my goblins, But what I'm going to actually do is I'll highlight them up and make them a little bit more sickly looking. So I'll probably make them a little pale or a little filthy. So they look like they're starting to turn. They might still be alive back there. You know, you can cut an orc's head off and he can keep rolling for a while. All right, so what does my run herd let me do? Well, my run herd lets me buy one of these things you'll see up here. Run herd odd bits, special weapon with runt crews. So I can get, so what I do have is I have a hop splat field gun which costs 50 points. However, because I am blood axes, I can buy Imperial odd bits for half the cost. So you see down there for 50 points an Imperium thud gun. I can actually get that for 25 points. And I have a thud gun right here. So the choice is hop splat gun or thud gun. I'm going to go with the hop splat gun only because it fits in with the theming of the army, not lore-wise, but in terms of the miniatures-wise. This was the first piece of field artillery that they ever put out for the orcs, and it came in one of those large clamshell blisters with the war track. So basically you got this all in one of those large blisters together. You got the mech boy, the two little Gretchen crew, the hop splat gun, and the war track. And because the way that I've hinged my hop splat gun, it can actually trailer hitch to the war track, as long as I'm not, looking at it from the wrong angle and trying to put it on. Fit, damn you. There we go. So I like the idea of this thing being able to tow this around with the grot crew. You don't have to even have the runt here nearby. You just can. So this could tow them up the table and then deploy the hop splat gun, and then the grots can crew it, and this can drive off and do its own thing. So we're going to go with that. Weird thing is that you would think that blood axes would be able to get more artillery, but they can't because they can only have one runt herd, which means I can only ever buy one odd bit for them. So it's either the hop splat gun or the thud gun, but there's also a rapier and a tarantula. 200 points for a tarantula because I think it comes with 2 multi-meltas. Lift a droppa, pulse. So here's the thing: the hop splat field gun, the squig catapult, the tractor cannon, the lift a dropper, the pulsa missile, and the bubble chucka. They never made models for them until 2nd edition. I don't believe those pieces of artillery, and I may be wrong. I may be wrong that the squig catapult. It's entirely possible the squig catapult came out in Rogue Trader, but I feel like the other ones weren't available until 2nd edition. When the tractor cannon, the lift a droppa, the pulsa missile, and the bubble chucka. Did they ever make a bubble chucka? I know there's definitely, there's the splat. So the hop splat gun was replaced by the splatta cannon, which was essentially the same thing, but it was a new model. The squig catapult's the squig catapult, and I have one around here somewhere, which is going to be in my freebooters. The tractor cannon and the lift a droppa and the pulsa missile are all 2nd edition. Even though there are rules for them in Rogue Trader, the models weren't released until 2nd edition. I'm about 85% sure on that. Can the boss's rolls be distributed to the Dread? No, unfortunately it can't. No, it can't, Jank Master. Hey, Javier, how you doing? Squig catapult, yes, squig catapult. I think Logan has one for sale. Bubble chucka. I'd be interested in those, but I'm right now I'm trying to stick to just what was released in Rogue Trader. Obviously, I'm going to be cheating a bit when I get to the other stuff because there's the freebooters aspect, because there will be models in it. So I don't know if Michael Logan has a bubble chucka, but I like bubble chuckas. I also like the lift a droppa and the pulsa missile. Although the pulsa missile is just a big fat rocket on a tripod, Don't say you weren't warned. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I want to get through most of what I have currently before I start adding more, which I know sounds completely off, and I will tell you that I did grab something the other day off the Evil Bay. It was a guy in Canada that was selling it, so I was like, well, if it's domestic, I have an excuse to go out and buy this. So we'll see those when those come in. But they're for a far distant orc project, because the orc projects never end. But anyways, we're just gonna buy a hop-splat gun for my runt herd, so I'm just gonna add that down here. Hop-splat. Now, do you know why it's called a hop-splat gun? Because it hops and then it splats. I just wrote that PST. Dyslexic. The hop splat, basically it shoots 2 cannonballs out, and they're attached by a chain. So you calculate where the first one rolls, then you scatter to see where the second one rolls, and then you scatter again, and they basically hop. And anything that gets caught between them or by the balls themselves, it takes a hit from the hop splat gun. So it's actually a pretty devastating weapon. And the splatta cannon, which was the second edition version of the hop splat gun, is basically the same thing. So there we go. So there's most of our odd bits worked out, except for the robots. Because like I said, this guy, because we're blood axes, in addition to the war track and the scorch, I can also take looted Imperial stuff, which means I could take. Well, I can't take tin boys now, but I can still take a robot because that is a looted weapon. Now this robot is a Crusader. And you see that he's there, heavy bolter, meltagun, power sword. Well, that's not how mine's armed. So I may end up having to build mine. Oh, no, sorry, this is a Colossus. Siege hammer, bolt gun, meltagun. Mine is actually armed. I'm going to custom build him out of the army list out of the robot rules that are published in the compendium that were published in White Dwarf. Because he's got a heavy bolter, a flamer, a bolter, and 2 power fists. This is my Inquisitor's personal valet robot, which he lends to the orcs, but really it's just around to keep an eye on the Inquisitor, because he has like bodyguard mode engaged, and he will just protect the Inquisitor. And the only thing that the Inquisitor trusts in the entire universe is the robot. He doesn't trust anyone else. I can trust the robot because the robots are just programs, right? But I can't trust none of y'all else. So there we go. Support local, eh? Well, I don't know, somewhere in Canada, which means I don't have to pay import charges, which means the shipping tends to be less. And the prices tend to be a little bit more reasonable because I'm not converting from Canadian dollars into US dollars or into Great British pounds, which just slays you. International commerce. So keep it domestic. If you can support local, do it. That's why I buy from Logan. A lot of these orcs came from him. So like the Dreadnought, a lot of these just boys. One of the buggies came from him. The robot came from him. The thud gun came from him. The odd boys, the prototype odd boys came from him. So yeah, and then the stuff that I'm gonna be unblistering next week would be trusting the robot. Seems like an odd choice for an Infinity player. I'm not an Infinity player anymore. But yeah, so let's move on from the mech boys, because now we're getting into my units. So we're gonna go figure out how much my big mob is gonna cost, because we basically finished the retinue, so we can total up the entire total points of the retinue just to see how many points we're playing with here. We figured out it was 235 for just the knobs. Now my Inquisitor, so he's 90 points for the major hero profile. So he's 90. Plus, he has 2 meltaguns sitting around somewhere, so that's 10 points. Plus, he's got a shotgun. Plus, he's got a bolt pistol. Plus, he's got a refractor field. And he's got a power sword. So he's 130 points. So we've got 235 plus 235 plus 130 gives us 365 points. And now we've got to add 15, 15, 15, 15. That's for my 2 mech boys, my pain boy, and my runt herd. My runt herd has got 4 snotling bases for 60 points. Plus, so that's that. So 485 points. That's not bad. Could have been a lot worse. Oh, yeah, we got all that. And then these are just separate things. So that's it. So the only other thing to do would be the transport, which is a Rhino, which is free. However, there are custom vehicle rules, so you can essentially take that Rhino chassis and then put on whatever you want onto it and make it a custom vehicle. We're not going to do that today because that's crazy. And you can see here, so on the battlefield, the entire retinue in the war boss can fight as a single unit. Optionally, odd boys can be detached from the rest of the retinue and may fight independently, which is what I'm going to do. So he'll be broken off to go off with the robot. And then I'll break off one of these two major domos to go and lead the big mob, which we will get to now. And then the odd boys. So the rest of them I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave one mech boy in the retinue to ride around. He can repair the Rhino. The pain boy, doesn't matter where he goes. I could actually even break the pain boy off and have him just follow the dreadnought around. Doesn't really matter. He can stay in the retinue for now. And then here we go. So down to the big mob. So let's write this down. Big mob. That should be a B, not a D. Let's erase that and learn how to spell. Big mob. All right. So what's in my big mob? Well, I've got 8 boys with flak armor, armed with hand weapon and bolt gun or bolt pistol. Choose what you want for the whole unit. So they've all got bolt guns. And then 2 boys wearing flak armor and armed with a hand weapon and bolt gun or bolt pistol, same as the rest of the unit, and carrying a heavy weapon chosen at additional cost. So in my big mob, I've got 2 plasma guns. Now these are weapons that were gifted to my war boss by the Inquisitor. Basically, the Inquisitor showed up and was like, hey, I got guns for you. And the orcs call them sun guns, right? And then I've got las cannons, same sort of thing, right? The Inquisitor basically brought a bunch of Imperial weaponry to outfit these orcs. So 2 plasma cannons, and we'll look down here and see how much does a plasma cannon cost. A heavy plasma gun, because they weren't called plasma cannons, they're called heavy plasma guns, are 75 points each. So my whole mob is 100 points. So I've got 8 boys with bolters, 2 boys with heavy plasma guns. And that's going to cost me 150 points just for those 2 plasma guns. So the big mob base cost is 100. And then it says any extra boys you want at a cost of 7 points apiece. Now I've got 2 extra boys in here because this mob is actually 12 models strong. So for now, that's another 14 points. So we're going to go up to 10 boys here. 10 boys with bolters. That's going to be 114 points. So now there's extra war gear that you can buy, but you have to buy it for every boy in the mob. So even including the 2 boys. So I could buy stick bombs for them all. But I think what I'm actually just going to do is I'm just going to leave them as is. That's my big mob. It's 264 points. So that's good enough. And they don't need a transport because they're basically going to foot slog, and they're my big mob to just sit and fire stuff at them. But I could give them a battle wagon. I could upgrade the battle wagon to a blitz cannon. I could give them a rhino for 25 points. But we're just going to leave it like that. Now it says right here, knob leader. So you take one of the knobs in your war boss's retinue and you break them off to go lead. So here he is, broken off to go lead the big mob, and that's our big mob done. Now, after the big mob, you get into your little knobs. So we'll come back to that. We'll come back to all these characters and stuff. Let's go down to the Blood Axe Boys mob. So these are your smaller households. These are your households that are sworn allegiance to your war bosses. He is basically considered the clan house. He's the clan house, right? Or so it's his knobs and his big mob are like his stuff, right? And then all these other little clan houses that are all little Blood Axe clan houses are all sworn to him. And when they're mustered for battle, when the WOG is called and they show up, it literally, what I love is that in the background it says it consists of 5 or more boys. Some orc households turn up with only the obligatory 5 boys, including one with a heavy weapon, which they're supposed to bring when the war band gathers. So essentially, they've been given a heavy weapon, or they have a heavy weapon, and they're supposed to bring it with them. So I have 3, and they're 3 units of 5. And here's the thing: I can't add models to these. I could add models to these now because my big mob has to be twice the size of any of my boys mobs. So I have 3 boys mobs, all at 5 each, right? So let's put boys mobs here. We'll just go boys mobs, and we've got 1, 2, and 3. And at some point they'll all get names and whatever. But mob number 1 is basically just going to be 4 orcs and 1 orc with a missile launcher. So we're just going to go 4 boys with bolters. And we'll just repeat that down here. Boys with bolters. 4 bolters, and then 1 boy. So 1 boy with a missile launcher. And how much does a missile launcher cost? A missile launcher, well, you got to buy the missile launcher. It comes with frag missiles for 30. Now I can buy crack missiles for 20 or melta missiles for 4. I'm going to buy melta missiles. I don't know why, but let's just go with it. He's got a melta missile. I don't know why it's only 4 points, but I'm not going to complain. Crack missiles must be really good for 20 points. But anyways, 30 points for the launcher. Excuse me. 4 points for the melta. So it's 50 points if a Blood Axe war boss, or 40 points for another war boss. So here's the thing. I can take Blood Axe mobs in other orc armies, but I can't take other orc clans in a Blood Axe army because they don't trust the Blood Axes, because the Blood Axes trade with humans. And it costs less to take them in another army. It costs me 50 points to take them in a Blood Axe army. So that's 50 plus 34, so that's 84 points for this unit. So they are 84. And then the second is 4 boys. And these guys have a heavy bolter, which is the Orc Raiders heavy bolter. Great little model there. The heavy bolter. So 1 boy with a heavy bolter with a H bolter. And how much does a heavy bolter cost me? A heavy bolter cost me 15 points. So this mob is going to be 65 points. 65. And the third one, oh, they got the big gun. They got the real expensive boy. So this guy with a las cannon, orc with a las cannon, doesn't know how he got it, doesn't know what he's gonna do with it. Boy with las cannon, and that las cannon is gonna cost me a whopping 90 points, making this unit 140. So there's my 3 boys mobs. Now, each boys mob allows me to buy a knob. He's basically the leader of the house. So I have 3 knobs. 1, 2, 3. So the Commissar will lead the squad with the las cannon. This guy will lead the squad with the heavy bolter. And this guy will lead the squad with the missile launcher. And that's as easy as that. So let's price up those knobs. So we've got the Commissar. So let's do the Commissar, because he's everyone's favorite. The Commissar. I don't even know how to spell it. Good enough. So let's scroll back up here to the knobs. And Blood Axe knob. So for every Blood Axe boys mob, you can take up to 1 Blood Axe knob. They have to lead the squad unless you get them a vehicle, which I did. So he's going to be a clan boss. which will cost me 35 points. He, I'm going to buy him all kinds of stuff. So he has flak armor, sure. He has a bolt gun or a bolt pistol, sure. He has a suitable hand weapon, sure. Power, I'm not going to buy him hand. I'm not going to buy him that. What I am going to do is I'm going to get him. So the war buggy, as you can see, costs 75 points. So we'll just put that down. And now the war buggy comes with a twin-linked heavy bolter, which he is just one-handing there. He's pulled it right off the mount, and he is one-handing that twin-linked heavy bolter. So that'll be his main shooty gun. So twin heavy Bs. Man, I remember seeing heavy B in the boys back in the day. Heavy B, twin heavy Bs. Let's buy him an assault weapon. Try and get that power fist. Even though I have a power glove, I have a power glove in my knob mob. He's not from that mob, so he can't use that power glove. I have to roll that power glove for him on his own. So let's go and see if I can pull that off. Maybe I need my kid back in here to roll some dice for me. So, assault weapons. I'm looking for an 81 to 90. Now, he is a clan boss, so he is a knob, which means that he can add up to 10 to the roll. Add or subtract up to 10 to the roll. So, an 81 to 90, so a 71 or better will get me my power glove. Let's see how many points I'm going to end up spending. Grots are excellent hackers, just to say it. Ready? Boom! 59. That will not get me my power glove. What does that get me? That gets me a hand flamer. Okay. Hand flamer. I'll take that for 5 points. Let's try again. Second roll. Give me the power glove. 42. 42. Another hand flamer. Or I could knock that down to a... You know what? I can knock that up by 10 to 52 and get a plasma pistol, which his driver has. I don't know if his driver can actually use the plasma pistol. When the rules for the buggy first came out, it was an upgrade. You could upgrade the driver to carry a plasma pistol. Otherwise, they carried bolt pistols. But I'm just going to write plasma pistol here. I mean, it's not like it matters, right? And let's see. Third roll. Gotta get that power glove. I love the power glove. It's so bad. 43. Damn it. All right. So what do we got for 43 again? Oh, we got another hand flamer. So now he's got 2 hand flamers. Times 2. And all this stuff he still has to pay for. He just doesn't get to use it if he's not going to use it. Maybe the grot riding on the back. Maybe I'll turn that into a hand flamer. I'll put some like fuel tanks on it or something, and that'll be a hand flamer. Because yeah, technically it's somewhere on the vehicle. All right, come on, give me that power glove. Give me that power glove, baby. 69. Oh, so close. Power sword. I can up that to a power axe. But I can't. Okay, well, he's got a power sword just sitting around for some reason. I mean, this is why he's the commissar, right? He's got all the stuff. How many rolls is it going to take? How many times am I going to have to pay 5 points to get the one thing I want for him? Which is a power glove. 48. Ugh. I can make that a chain sword or another plasma pistol. Well, now he's got 3 plasma pistols. Or 2 plasma. He's got 2 hand flamers, 2 plasma pistols. All right. Come on. Big money. Give me the 80 plus. Give me the 80 plus. 70 even. 52. I can make that 62. He's got 2 power swords now. This guy's just got an arsenal sitting back at home. Come on, power glove. Come on. 83. Yes, power glove. So I will make that. That is a straight up power glove. So he's got his power glove. How many more times am I going to say power glove? I love the power glove. It's so bad. Now I'm gonna roll him up a field because he needs a field of some kind for sure. So let's see what kind of force field we can get this guy. Boom, 96. He gets a custom force field as well. Amazing, amazing. Custom FF, and that costs a whopping 15 for the custom FF. So that's going to be it for him. So let's figure. Oh, so that war buggy. I believe that's like 75 points for the war buggy. Let's go back one. Blood Axe Knobs. War buggy, 75 points. So, how much does the Commissar cost us? $35 plus 75 plus 5. Wait, plus 5 plus Plasma Pistol times 2, 10. Plus Power Sword times 2, 10. Plus Power Glove, 5. Plus Custom Force Field, 15. So the Commissar comes in at a whopping 160 points. Amazing. All right, well, hopefully my other knobs. Oh, can I do that? I don't know if I can. I'm wondering if I can swap weaponry back and forth between these knobs. Yes, can be distributed between any Blood Axe knobs in the warband you want. Choose any chart and randomly generate a good equipment point. You can roll as many times on as many charts as you wish, and the equipment can be distributed between any Blood Axe knobs in the warband you want. And what does it say under these knobs up here? Because if these knobs up here, I can put them in any warband, then I don't actually need to. I didn't actually need to make all those rolls. As the war boss's old buddies, the knobs in the retinue tend to get the best gear that's going. To represent this, the knobs can have any gear from the special chart listed below. Choose any chart and randomly generate. Yeah, so this just says you can roll as many times as many charts you want, and the equipment can be distributed between the knobs and the retinue as you want. So I cannot use my war boss's retinue knob equipment onto Commissar. But all this extra equipment that I rolled here, I can use on my two other knobs, which is this guy and this guy. But neither of these guys are really armed knobbishly. I was thinking of actually replacing this weapon and making it like a big power weapon, because I think he'd be way cooler with a big power weapon. So I might do that. And then this guy is just wearing armor. So I'm actually going to buy him power armor, because I think this armor is powered. We'll call it that. It kind of is. It's kind of not. But, I mean, these guys are pretty much are very basic knobs. So, but I can give them anything from here that I want. So I could give them a plasma pistol. I could give them, you know, whatever. But we're just going to pay for both those knobs. Now, both those knobs are not going to be clan bosses, because I'm only going to have one clan boss in the army, and that will be the Commissar. So these guys are going to be big bosses, because they run the households. So we'll call them big bosses. So we've got a big boss. And that will cost me 25 points. And he has a bolt pistol and a knife. That's this guy. So not so exciting for him, but he's basically 25 points. I could give him any of this equipment that the Commissar has sitting up here, which would actually reduce the Commissar's points cost. So I could give him a hand flamer. I could give him one of the power swords. Maybe we'll do that. We'll give him one of the power swords for 5 points, which means that this only goes down to one power sword, which means he now goes down to 155, and he cost me a whopping 30 points. And I may cut that little knife, as much as I like that little knife, or maybe I'll just find a power sword and stick it over his back or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We're smart. And then this guy, I don't know. He's got kind of a custom weapon, custom looking bolter. That's the other thing, is I could just give him custom guns. But he kind of, well, he's got a stick bomb. So let's roll up a stick bomb for him. Let's find a big boss and get him a stick bomb. What kind of stick bomb? Well, we're going to pay, how much does it cost? It costs 5 points to roll in the stick bomb chart. Let's do this. What kind of stick bomb do you get? You get a 56, which is a frag stick bomb. Because he is a knob, I could drop that down to a buzz bomb, but I think we'll just stick with a frag stick bomb, because it looks like a frag stick bomb. frag. Stick. Bomb, which cost me 5 points. He cost me 25. So he's going to cost me 30 points. All right. So that's all my knobs. So what else we got here? Well, let's go back up here. And we've done the big mob. We've done my knobs. We've done my Mechaniac. We've done my Pain Boy. We don't have a Weird Boy. We've done the Runt Herd. Who I can, I can go back once I figure out how many points I'm roughly spending here. I can go back and be like, okay, well now I'm going to roll. 15 points. I'll roll a custom force field for my Runt Herd, right? Sort of thing. Done the boys mobs. Here we go, Gretchen! Yay! So Gretchen, I can have one mob of Grots in my army because they all gather together and do their thing. And as you can see, they have horrible stat lines, and they're all armed with just a hand weapon and a blunderbuss at 5 points each. So only 2 points less than an orc. So I have 9 Grots. So we'll do that. 9 Gretchen and I at 5 points apiece. So that'll be 45 points. 45. All right. What else do I got? What else do I got in this army? Not much else. That's almost it. A wild mob. I do have a wild mob. However, they're not painted. I can show them to you. This is all phase 2 Blood Axe stuff here. So I've got. So the way the wild mob works is they're basically like before they become Storm Boys. So these are the wild orcs that they find and recruit and teach them how to be proper orcs. So this will be my my Storm Boy. And when I say that I'm using models, this is actually a 2nd edition model that came in the Storm Boy box, which I don't own any Storm Boys. And then I've got a whole bunch because I do own a whole lot of fantasy orcs as well. So I have a whole bunch of these Orc Error Boys that I'm going to use because I figure that Blood Axes, well, they want to teach their orcs how to shoot, right? So the first thing they're going to do is they're going to toss them some bows, and they're going to send them out there to fight. But this is going to be a later. I think I have 5 or 6 in here. Essentially, I just took duplicates from my fantasy Error Boys. And I have like the Harboth's Orc Archer box plus a bunch of other Orc Boys. So I took out any that I had doubles of. I took out and put them here. So these guys will be my my wild boys, my wild mob with bows. And you can see bows are 2 points. I could get them spears, a hafted weapon. I'm assuming a hafted weapon is a halberd. Because they can get double-handed weapons. So I'm assuming a hafted weapon is like a polearm of some kind. Which I'm sure there are rules for in Rogue Trader, because all that ancient weaponry has rules, and it gives you +1 armor save shooting against modern armor. Storm Boys, I don't have any Storm Boys in here. Mad Mobs, I do have Mad Boys, but I'm not using them for my Blood Axes. They're in the same box there. And then the Ogren. Best thing about the Ogrens. So you get D10 Ogrens, armed with hand weapons at 20 points per Ogren. The player must take all the Ogrens or none at all. So when you roll for battle, when you're basically building your army list, I say, okay, so how many Ogrens show up? 4. Okay, great. So that's 80 points of Ogrens. It costs how much to give them a Ripper Gun? I don't think it can. Are there any points? Oh, Ripper Gun's 5 points. So I can give them additional hand weapons. I can give them double hand weapons or a Ripper Gun. So they're 25 points each. I got 4 of them. 100 points. 100 points and I can field 4 Ogrens. Great. The problem is you have to roll before every battle to see how many show up. And you have to take them all. You either take all of them or you take none of them. So if you happen to roll the big donut and you don't have 10 Ogrens, if you don't physically have 10 Ogrens, or you don't have the points to pay for 10 Ogrens, which would be 250 points, then you don't get to take them. That's the way the rules, that's what the rules say. So I do want to add Ogrens, but I don't want to add 10 Ogrens. I don't want to have to buy and paint 10 classic Rogue Trader era Ogrens just so I can field an Ogren mob. I just want to take a few. But that's, again, that's for future consideration. Imperial Guard, next week when I start opening up Rogue Trader blisters, I'm not sure if I have enough to do a full Imperial Guard squad out of here. because it is a 10-man squad with a sergeant, a specialist trooper, and a heavy weapon trooper. Do you have the snot helper with the buzz bomb clay jug? I do. I got him with my shock attack gun. No, not shock attack. I got him with my squig catapult. My squigapult, my squig catapult. He's one of the crew that there's another one with a net over his back that's like another one, and there's another one that's like a knife over his head, but for some reason the one I got is completely missing his arm, so I'm going to build him like a little robot arm or something. I'll give him a squig attack arm, who knows. So here you go. So the cool thing about the Imperial Guard is I can put them all on bikes for 150 points, or 5 bikes with sidecars, or they can take a Land Raider, or jet cycles. I do have jet cycles, but I don't have 10 jet cycles. Or I can give them a Rhino. We'll see what I'm going to do with Imperial Guard. Human Adventurers, I'm definitely doing. There will definitely be a Human Adventurer squad added in here, and they are essentially like the Inquisitors, like acolytes, right? So I've got a few models for them already. I've got a few more in blisters, and they have very good options here. You can give all of them heavy weapons, so I could just take 4 human mercenaries. And give them all auto cannons if I wanted, or give them all, heavy weapons. They can all take heavy weapons. The extra war gear, I don't have to have them all armed the same. Thank you. But I can take chain swords, power gloves, bolt pistols, frag grenades, crack grenades, bolt guns, power armor. So I can have them all in power armor. I'm gonna have at least one in power armor because I've got a really cool model for that. And that's a minimum of 5. So 1 captain and 4 mercenaries. And they come armed like They come armed like guardsmen. So they're all armed with flak armor and armed with a las gun or an auto gun, because they're basically the same gun in Rogue Trader. And then odd bits. So now we're down to the odd bits, and we've already sort of gone through all that. The only thing I would need to figure out is, we'll say that my Colossus robot costs whatever the Colossus robot is here right now, which is 135. I'm sure that once I custom build him, he'll be probably more expensive than that, especially if I give him a program, because you have to pay for the programming on them when you build a robot that way. But other than that, we're essentially done here. I didn't do any custom weaponry. When we get to when we get to doing freebooters, I will show you. We'll roll up some custom weapons and stuff like that. That'll be fun. Okay, so what's going on in the chat here? Maybe give him a smaller version of what the Commissar has in a combi power weapon and a hand flamer. That'd be funny. Do you have the help? Yes, I do. Brats in the Human Adventure pick. Yes, yeah. So that's there are brat gangs, and there's even tech gangers back here. So you've got some brats up front and some tech gangers, and then just some regular sort of hive ne'er-do-wells. Because at the time that this book was published, those were models that were available. Were those original Confrontation? If you don't know what Confrontation was, Confrontation is the proto Necromunda, of which there were a number of models released, and the rules were released throughout a few issues of White Dwarf. If you had all of them, you could essentially play the game. And then that became, in 1994, 94, 95? 95. I want to say either late 94 or early 95 is Necromunda. I say 95. When Necromunda came out proper, Confrontation had already sort of gone away, but you were still able to get all the models. And the guardsmen here are basically like the plastic guardsmen. And the way it's funny because the default weapon they come with is a grenade launcher for the specialist weapon trooper. Now you can just swap that out. It says that you can actually you either buy it from the Imperial Guard list, buy a squad of Imperial Guard from the Imperial Guard list, which means you can arm them the way you want, kind of. Or you buy them here, which is basically a las cannon and a grenade launcher, which is a decent mix of weapons, and then a bunch of guardsmen with it. We'll see if I do any guardsmen, because I'm probably going to end up using any models that look kind of like guardsmen as just human mercenaries for a human pirate army that I want to do. And I do have some odd random... I've got some Iron Claw, which are Bob Ollie sculpted Space Pirates and Adventurers. I've got some of the original Space Pirates and Adventurers. You're going to get to see all that next week when I open up those blisters and start putting those models onto bases and start trying to get them painted up. But for right now, let's add it up and see, to finish off this stream, because this stream is now closing in on 2 hours. Let's add everything up and see how many points, essentially what's in front of me, is going to cost. What's in front of me minus the Dreadnought, because I've got to figure out the Dreadnought. He's 50 points base. I assume I just buy him heavy weapons. They're all going to be the same price. So a Plasma Cannon's 75 points. So now he's 125. And then the Flamer is 5 points, so he's 130. An extra Power Claw is going to be another 5 points, so he's 135. We'll just call the Dreadnought 135. Dread. 135. I don't know if that's going to be... We'll see. That I need to figure that out. And I'm not too concerned about that. So, our Blood Axe army. How many points do we have? This is the moment of truth. This is very exciting for me. Because this is an army that I basically built before having any idea how it was going to come out points-wise. So 126 for my Warlord. Plus 235. Plus 130. Plus... Oh, crap. I did it all. So my Warlord is 126. My Retinue is 485. So we're at 611 just for my HQ. The big mob, which I have to have, is 264. Plus I have 3 boys mobs. So one is going to cost 84. Plus one is going to cost 65. Plus one is going to cost 140. So we're at 11, almost 1,200 points right now. Dukalmasar rocking in at 155 points because he's in the rear with the gear. And then I've got 2 of these big bosses at 30 points apiece. And then I've got 9 Gretchen. Woo! Big 45 points. And then the Dread at 135. So I'm at roughly 15, 50, 60. So Human Warband will easily bring it up another 100 or so points, depending on how big that Human Warband is. What else? Oh, I got the 2 buggies, which means I have to have 2 more mech boys, which I'm going to do. So these are unpainted models, but I will show them to you. Because I was trying to figure out how do I get these orcs with plasma guns into my army. And I realized, well, I could just take them as more knobs in my war boss's retinue. But I don't really want to do that. I've already got 2 in there with flamers. So I'm going to take these guys as mech boys. Basically, it's 15 points, and then each of those plasma guns is 5 points. And I can have to try and roll for those, because unless I take them in my war boss's retinue, the 2 plasma guns that he has sitting around, he can't do anything with. And I can only have a maximum of 2 in the retinue. It's very confusing. But I could do that. I could throw them in the retinue and then just break them off. But I don't think I can. I can't have more than 2 mech boys in the retinue, which means I could take these 2 mech boys as other mech boys, which I could do as well. So I can have them running around. The idea was that I would take these and then attach them to squads, so that the squads would essentially have a special weapon trooper with a plasma gun. So that's that. What that will also allow me to do is I have a couple of other unpainted guys here. Like I said, so these 2 plus him plus 2 from the big mob will give me a 4th boy squad, which will allow me to take a 4th knob. See how this works? Which will also allow me to take another mech boy if I so choose. And then, so I need those 2 mech boys with the plasma guns in order to take these 2 buggies, because I have to have a mech boy for each vehicle, right? But that's generally an army. So I could play a 2,000 point game once I get all that stuff done. 2,000 point game of Rogue Trader with these rules. Oh man, you better have a weekend. The game was not designed to play quickly the way that the modern 40K is designed to play at all. Whose art is that for the Human Adventurers? Art. I believe that it's either... This is Bonner. This looks like Paul Bonner, I want to say. I know that some of them were done by John Blanche himself. I think some of the Goff ones were done by John Blanche. Let's find the Goff list. Oh, what a great book this is. Oh, so much lore. Like these, I believe these are John Blanche. I mean, this definitely looks like John Blanche here with for the Goth war boss. So that's making an orc army list in Rogue Trader. 2,000 points was 10 hours of playtime if you had everything down pat. Yeah, exactly. Even second edition, you know, when my buddy Nico and I would get together to play, like, we'd make plans the day before. We'd be like, okay, so tomorrow's Sunday, we're going to play 40K. Okay. So, setting up the table, getting all the terrain out, building our army lists, playing the game, and then cleaning up afterwards. That was the whole day. The game itself was average 4 to 5 hours for a second edition game. Like, it was not, you know, because you're working out every combat individually. You're not rolling handfuls of dice. You're doing each guy separately. All your shooting is done in a particular way. Just the way that the game worked. And then with the orc stuff, because you have all these charts to roll on, the more crazy stuff you have, like when my freebooter army is going to be full of crazy stuff. The more crazy stuff you have, the more granularity you have, the more crunch there is in the rules. So you're constantly looking up charts, rolling, like just a shock attack gun. Resolving a shock attack gun attack could take you 20 minutes to figure it out. Same with like generating power for weird boys and those psychic powers. Figuring out your vehicles, because your vehicles have like 3 speed bands, and you have to choose which speed band they're in, and they can go up and down one at a time. So if you're going at your fastest speed, the next turn you can either stay at your fastest speed or you can go down to your combat speed, and that's your minimum movement. So it's not, and then there's turning templates as well. Thankfully, I have all of my second edition assets, so all my second edition templates, all my second edition tokens, the turning gauge, all that stuff from second edition, which was basically carried over from Rogue Trader. So like all the flamer templates are the same size, so I have all that stuff. So when I do get to play Rogue Trader, I'll be using second edition things for it. But that's all it is. That's all it is. There, it's just playing games. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys enjoyed this little march down memory lane for me, because I can remember the days of Rogue Trader, rolling up army lists to play with my friend. Not orcs, because in Rogue Trader I played Eldar and Space Marines, kind of, and I tried to build a guard army, but then gave up because I realized that there's no way I was ever going to have enough models to meet the minimum requirements for a guard army. And the same thing was wrong. It was just back then, at the age I was, you know, I was in junior high school, I didn't have the income for this, right? I do now, but so I can do this for what I should have done, you know, 30 years ago. But yeah. So let's see. Do the first guy add a dice to the second guy, add 6 dice, do the big boss. And do the first guy, add a dice, do the second guy, add 6. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's a whole lot of rolling and randomness, and then figuring out, you know, like, you know, good thing that my war boss's retinue has all these extra weapons sitting around for no reason, right? I couldn't technically. I should try and I could get a las cannon and mount it on the vehicle, because I do have 2 plasma guns. So the 2 plasma guns that my orc boss does have can totally be used for this turret on this rhino. If I turn this into a custom rhino, and it doesn't affect transport capacity or anything. You basically just mount the guns on the vehicle, and then anyone who's riding in the vehicle can fire those guns, right? So I can take my boys with their ballistic skill of 5, my drill bosses, and have them man the plasma guns. Or I can, what I might do is I might put a guy here, but I might not even have this on here. I might pull this right off, pull this off, and I'm going to convert this whole thing to be more orky. So this may not even end up on the final model, but we'll see. We'll see how I do. But for now, I think we're going to call it there. It's almost noon. I'm going to go and get ready to go out for the afternoon, go out for a walk. It looks like it's a nice day out. I can't tell because I'm sitting here with blinds, and then I put a curtain up because in the morning the sun is shining through, because I'm facing east. So I had all these like white lines across my face from the standard landlord blinds that I have. Landlord blinds. So yeah, so let's call it there. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed all of October, and thanks to everyone who hung out with me while I was doing this and watched. So thanks to the Jank Master, thanks to Inquisitor Shavak, thanks to Alex, thanks to Tyler, thanks to Javier. Who else am I missing that watched me during the week? Bryce, thanks for coming out. Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing this, so I will be back on Monday with my first November show, and we'll see what that is going to be like. But it's probably just going to be painting this guy because I'm just actually literally dying to paint this Inquisitor. So that's what I may do on Monday. I'm going to try and get these Snotlings done this evening, hopefully. Like I said, I have to do their bases first, and then I have to paint the Scorcha. I'll go paint me Scorcha. And once that's done, then a few little touch-ups. I want to do some banners. So you can see my Dreadnought's got a banner on him here, which is a classic Orc Dreadnought banner. Actually printed out from White Dwarf or something, but it was like the first published banner for the Space Orc Dreadnought, and that's the one I chose to put on here. It's basically a modified Imperial Aquila with skull heads and bat wings instead of, because they're blood axes, so they're mocking and mimicking the Imperium in a lot of ways. So I've got the banner picked out that's going to be on this boy, and I've got to figure out what I'm going to do for the flag coming off to Commissar, which is probably going to be like a pennant, and then maybe a smaller pennant underneath with some boss glyphs on it. Because I love the whole idea of the glyphs and things like that. Plus, there's decaling to be done. So my war boss is going to have some decals on him. I'm going to try and put some decals on a few other models, hither and dither. That will be something that maybe we'll do next week. I have old Orc decals. And so you and I get to find out together. We get to find out together if those decals are any good anymore. And if I can, I'll try and save them. I have some decal medium that I might be able to rescue the decals with. But that it may not work. It may work. I'm hoping it does, because then it's awesome to have decals. If not, then I'm out $12 and got to figure out what else I'm going to do. I'm sure that I could get custom printed decals or something, but it's money. I may just try and hand do something, because I'm terrible at freehand, but it's funny, I keep finding old models that I painted where I'm like, oh, I did freehand on that, awesome, because I just don't do freehand that much anymore these days, because I just never got the knack for it. It's why I gave up on, I didn't give up on my Harlequin army, but like, if he's my first Harlequin, oh, man. And that's something I would like to do on stream, and I might do that at some point, is paint some Harlequins, because I have like a bag of Harlequins. Oh, there's other stuff in here too. There's some scouts in here too. Oh, there's a scout with a power fist. Eldar scout with a power fist, anyone? I remember making that model 30-something years ago, but I've got a whole, this is all just old lead Harlequins, old Rogue Trader era Harlequins, which will be done up at some point, because there are warp gates. There are gates to the webway on Logan's World. So the Eldar will be making their presence known at some point. Basically after the orcs show up and kill all the humans. Hey, Foxy Mama, want to go kill all the humans? That's kind of his thing though, right? I'm going to call this guy Bender. All right then. So thanks again. I hope you enjoyed October. This is the last show of October. The next show will be November. And yeah, so thanks for coming out. I will see you all, anyone who's going to be around Monday at noon. We'll see you then for that show. But other than that, I'm just going to end it there. And I'm going to say thanks for coming out, guys. I hope you enjoyed what I did today, because it's a little bit different than normal. You can see I got the camera all set up so you can see my screen, and, good times. It was fun. It's fun trying to figure out how to set this up, this three view thing. So I'm just trying to stretch it to the 2-hour mark. We're at 1:58 right now. Stretch it But no, I'm just going to end it there. So we'll see you guys on the flippity flop and doot doodaloot doots. See you on Monday at the Orc Time and the Orc channel that would be this channel. The Eternal Chronicles.ca is my website. I'm Christian for the Eternal Chronicles. This has been my live stream. This has been ORKTOBER. All that good stuff.